Hello and welcome to Point Lobos. So today is World Sea Lion Day, and in my opinion the best day of the year, because how can you disagree? So welcome to Point Lobos. This is the world's largest purpose-built filtered sea lion habitat here. So it's a project that we're very proud of at the park, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So where we stood right now, this pool is 70 metres long and it is 3 metres deep at its deepest point. It holds 3 million litres of water and is home to our 6 Californian sea lions. So we have a lovely family unit here at the park. We have Dom, who is our bull male. We have his 2 girlfriends, Lara and Bailey, and then their offspring, Oakley, Hanno and Maui. So sea lions have fantastic vision. They can see you as clear as you can see them. But unfortunately, we know out in the wild, our oceans are not crystal clear. They are highly polluted. Any type of oil spills, plastics in our oceans are not making them ideal environments for our wildlife out there. So sea lions have super sensitive whiskers that can literally detect how big a fish is, how fast a fish is moving, all through the current that that fish is creating, brushing over those whiskers. So they don't even need to be able to see or touch a fish to know where it is in the water, which is a really cool and clever adaptation that these guys have. Now, out in the wild, they're not fussy eaters at all. Whatever they can catch, they will eat. Different types of fish, squid, seabirds even. If they can catch it, they're going to eat it. However, here at the park, they are super fussy, and it is only restaurant quality fish on the menu for these guys. We can feed, depending on the time of year, up to 50 kilos of fish a day. Each sea lion has a set amount for their daily intake, and it will depend on their age, their life stage, whether they're younger, whether they're older, whether they're an adult. So yeah, we can get up to 50 kilos a day. And Dom, our male, he could just take 12 kilos of that on his own a day. So we're just doing some fish prep for our sea lions now for the first feed. So we've got herring and mackerel. So we're just going to use the different varieties to make a nice balanced diet. So we're going to start bucketing this up, ready to weigh. And then when we find any fish that have got like a ripped head or anything like that, we just discard them. We don't feed them to our sea lions because we make sure that the food that we're giving them is the best it can be. So we have Dom, as I said, who is our bull male, and his 2 girlfriends, Lara and Bailey, and their offspring. So I'm going to tell you who is who and who belongs to who. So Dom and Lara had Hanno and Maui, and then Dom and Bailey had Oakley. The ways that we can tell them apart is Dom is massive. He's the biggest one in there. He's weighing roughly at the minute about 250 kilos. And he's got a really blonde back. So when he's swimming through the water, he's the biggest silhouette and the blondest back that you can see in the water. Now with the girls, they look very similar, but they're still easy to tell apart. Bailey has big eyes. She's a really pretty sea lion. She has really big eyes. And then Lara, her face is a lot smaller than Bailey's, and she has a little birthmark on her chest, which is really easy to tell apart as well. And then it gets a little bit more confusing with the boys. So Oakley is our next biggest male, and he's really dark, and he's also got big eyes like Bailey. And then Hanno is just a little bit smaller than Oakley, and then Maui is the baby of the group. He's 4, but he's still the baby of the group. And he has the same birthmark that Lara has, but just a little bit lower than what Lara's is. So they're easy enough to tell apart. So out in the wild, sea lions are classed as a least concerned species, which is fantastic for us as animal rangers and exactly how we would like them to stay. But people often ask why we keep a least concerned species in captivity, and there's a couple of reasons. They're here as part of a species survival plan and for educational purposes. So a few things that we can do to try and keep these guys as a least concerned species is, if we are off to the beaches, now that the weather's starting to get really nice, let's make sure we take all our litter home with us. Let's not trash where these guys splash. Let's reduce, reuse, recycle as much as we can where we can. If it's a journey we can take on foot instead of taking a car, or car sharing or using public transport, let's do that. Turning the taps off while we're brushing our teeth will help to conserve water. And if we are seafood eaters, making sure we shop sustainably for our seafood will all add up and make a much greater impact. I always say if we just change one thing in our day-to-day lives, they will all add up and make a massive impact. And I always say that their future is in our hands. It's up to us to make the small changes now to keep these guys around for future generations to come. So our sea lions are living in man-made salt water. So this pool took 60 tonnes of salt to get it anywhere near sea level. And to maintain the levels, we have to add a ton of salt every day by hand, which involves taking 25 kilo bags and dropping it into the water and letting it dissolve in to keep it nice and salty for them, because it does help with their skin condition, it helps with their eyes, and it also helps them float and move around in the water more easily. So sea lions are actually classed as mammals, believe it or not. They fall into the same group as us. So there's 4 really important things that make us mammals, which also make these guys mammals. So number 1 is we have to have hair. These are covered in hair, believe it or not. So when they're in the water, they go this really dark colour to help them blend in with all the shadows of the sea. And then when they're out on land, they go nice and fluffy and dry, really blonde, to help them to blend in with all the rocks, sands and pebbles for where they might be, to help avoid predators. Because their main predator is the killer whale, also known as the orca. And they have been known to even beach themselves to snatch sea lions from the shoreline. So that's number 1, we have to have hair. So number 2 is we need to breathe oxygen. We do it without thinking about it, but these guys are conscious breathers. They have to think about what they're doing. They can only hold their breath for around about 20 to 25 minutes. Number 3 is we need to give birth to live young, and then number 4 is we need to produce milk to feed that live young as well. So they're 4 important things that make us mammals, which also make these guys mammals. They then fall off into the marine mammal group because they naturally live in the sea, and then their own family group called pinnipeds. So there's 3 species that live in the pinniped group. We have sea lions, walruses and seals. If you can't tell the difference between a sea lion and a walrus, I'm going to tell you now, it's really easy. Walruses are huge, they're pink, they've got 2 massive tusks. Nice and easy, nice and simple. But people get a little bit more confused when it comes to seals and sea lions, which is fine. It's a really easy common mistake to make. So 3 really easy ways to tell seals and sea lions apart. Sea lions have little external ear flaps, so these are their ears. It's literally a little tight fold of skin with a little pinhole down the middle to their ear canal. That tight fold of skin just stops water from going down into their ear canal, and they can hear us above and below the water. They have fantastic hearing. Seals, they don't have external ear flaps, they have a flat streamlined head. So that's number 1, that's a really easy way to tell them apart. Number 2 is when you see a sea lion out on land, they have what we call a rotating pelvis. So this means that they can flip their back flippers underneath their body and walk on all 4 flippers. And whereas seals, they can't do this. Their back flippers are permanently fixed behind their body. So when they're on land, they have to do the worm or the belly flop to get where they want to get to. And then lastly, the size of a sea lion's flipper is about the distance from your wrist to the bend of your elbow. And then for a seal's flipper, it's about the same size as an adult human hand. Come on down to Yorkshire Wildlife Park and to Point Lobos to come and see our sea lions for yourselves. We can't wait to welcome you.